Gerard, welcome back to the Age of Scotland Institute. It's terrific to have you here and joining us now in Glasgow on your first trip to Glasgow, but not your first trip to us, because I recall, as others have earlier today in Edinburgh, that you were our first speaker in 2012 when we launched the Age of Scotland Institute, and since then your august presence has been followed by Jim O'Neill, Lord Desai, Dominic Barton of Global Head of McKinsey, and a number of other ambassadors and business leaders. So we're really grateful to you for being back here to help us, I think, underscore and promote our mission, which is to inspire tomorrow's leaders in Scotland and to equip them with some of the knowledge and skills they need to engage with Asia. So what you're coming here to talk about is hugely important. I wonder if we could start by just talking about the key points that you're going to cover when you talk here later this evening.
Well, thank you. It's a great pleasure to be back with you here in Scotland.
Thanks,
and also to visit Glasgow for the first time.
Right.
I'm glad we've had a good event in Edinburgh earlier today.
Yep.
Both in Edinburgh and here in Glasgow, I'm going to be focusing on the global picture and what it means post-Trump, post-Brexit.
Yep.
And in particular, I'm going to focus on three areas. First, what are the key underlying global trends and why, despite near-term uncertainty, I'm positive. Second, about the key relationship, the G2, not the G7 or the G20, the G2, the relationship between China and the USA. And third, and finally, the implications for the UK, the likelihood of continued Chinese inward investment, and also why I think, and also how I think the UK will position itself post-Brexit, and why I think Brexit is good for the UK economy.
One of the subjects that came up earlier on today was the question of Chinese investment, and the UK seems to be somewhat ambivalent about it, perhaps less so in England than in Scotland. And the question asked was, is Chinese investment in infrastructure and other things a good thing, something to be welcomed in your view?
Well, the answer is yes. I'd like to see more UK investment so that UK companies can continue to grow and not necessarily have to be sold. But there's no doubt that inward investment to the UK is necessary and it is welcome. The Chinese investment takes a number of different routes. I think there's asset-seeking investment, there's brand-seeking investment, there's technology-seeking investment, there's also investment into areas of the UK economy that, while benefiting the UK now, will, through their knowledge transfer, benefit the Chinese in the future. In particular, the financial sector, where the Chinese banks, I think, will start to have a much bigger and more significant presence in the future. So there is Chinese investment across a whole raft of different areas. And that sort of diversification of investment by the Chinese, I think, is not only good for the Chinese, but more particularly positive for the UK as well.
And you, of course, have just joined the board of the Bank of China in the UK, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It'll make you uniquely qualified to have a view on that. I do remember, though, that you started by talking about the 3 I's earlier on today.
Oh, yes.
Could you remind us of what those are that you talked about?
Well, the 3 I's are innovation, investment, and infrastructure. Innovation is key. The UK economy needs to continue to innovate. Indeed, in the global picture, I think the Indo-Pacific region will be the dynamic region of the global economy. India, ASEAN, China, all the way over to the USA. And against that backdrop, the UK needs to compete. It needs to be competitive. We mustn't compete just on price. We need to compete on quality. And that requires more innovation, more investment by the private sector, and an enabling environment created by the public sector or the government, namely the government laying down and putting in new infrastructure across the whole of the UK.
And in a post-Trump, or a Trump age, should I say, do we have things to fear as the United Kingdom, or should we embrace the next 4 years with enthusiasm?
Well, I think we should embrace it. Good luck to President-elect Trump. Whatever you think of him, I think everyone should hope that he succeeds. Clearly, there is a lot of uncertainty, given what was said in the election campaign. Not all of which was said is welcome news to people. But if one just focuses for now on the economic and financial issues, there's the likelihood of President-elect Trump trying to boost the domestic US economy. That will take maybe a combination of 1930s Roosevelt infrastructure investment and 1980s style Reagan-type tax cuts. The combination of those should be positive for US growth, particularly in the next few years. Of course, while for now the markets are focusing on the positive aspects of a Trump-like presidency, the downside is for now not being really focused on, and that's the possibility of Smooth-Hawley type trade sanctions.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it will go that way, and therefore for the moment, and I think hopefully quite rightly so, I'm taking the view that Trump will be positive for the US economy.
Gerard, finally, because this has been very much your platform, and you pulled together a group of economists to focus on this, Brexit.
Yes.
You are bullish, I think, very bullish on the post-Brexit environment. Some concluding comments on that.
I think the economics profession suffers too much from groupthink and from a status quo bias where they don't want change. I think Brexit is a phenomenally positive opportunity for the UK economy. These opportunities rarely, if ever, come along. Clearly, there are some significant challenges with the UK economy. They were highlighted by the financial crisis of 2007, 2008. In particular, the need to rebalance the economy, of keeping London strong, but rebalancing away from London. So not just Scotland, but quite frankly, cities across the whole UK do well. Need to rebalance the economy, to recognise that many people are facing a very difficult time with real wages being suppressed. So the post-Brexit world not only returns competencies from Brussels, it also, in a bizarre way, allows us to do things that we could have done before, but maybe for whatever reason we chose not to. But now I think it's a domestically focused agenda and a globally focused one too. And that global one is very much about positioning the UK to succeed in a changing and growing global economy. In terms of the next couple of years, many people say hard or soft Brexit. I use the phrase clean versus messy. A clean Brexit is preferable. It returns control on migration, so we have a sensible migration policy. It returns control on basically our laws, so we have sovereignty. And also at the same time, I think it will allow us to seek a relationship with the EU which is positive for the auto and other sectors and positive for the city. So I think the UK can not only position itself well with the rest of the EU, but the United Kingdom can position itself well with the rest of the global economy with Brexit.
Gerard, thank you. And in Scotland, where of course a lot of people voted to remain, that's going to be an interesting topic to talk about later on this evening.
Yes.
And your comments are hugely helpful. And again, thank you for joining us. Thanks for being here. And we look forward to a very interesting discussion later on.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.